Hello, I am Dr. Rosina Bakari, your favorite empowerment expert. This is Healing Challenge 2022, the month of August. I am here with my wonderful, the best co-host in the world, Dr. Stephanie Singleton, and we're always excited to greet you. Dr. Singleton, what are we doing with the people today?
Hi, everyone. So good to see everyone. Thank you for joining. Share. We're talking about meditation today. So hang in there, everybody. And I think a great way to start this off, Dr. Bakari, is if you would read your daily gem for August 3rd about meditation.
All right, I sure will. August 3rd. When fear runs your life, you are likely to respond with resistance. When anger runs your life, you are likely to produce conflict. When self-pity runs your life, you are likely not to respond at all. Fear, anger, and even pity are part of a healthy lifestyle, but healthy decisions are not made from that space. You can and should acknowledge and experience the full spectrum of emotions, but you have to accept their limitations. Emotions don't heal. They only show you what needs to be healed.
Oh, thank you so much for that. And I just, there's a method to the madness, folks. There's a reason why that should be read. I felt that was really powerful to read for several things pertaining to meditation. And one is when you talk about if self-pity runs your life, or anger runs your life, or fear runs your life, you can't make healthy decisions from that space. And that's the word that caught me. You keep space, right? It had healthier decisions have to be made from a certain space. And then that last sentence, when you say emotions don't heal, but they show you what needs to be healed. So in light of this, is this what meditation is?
So when you say, is this what meditation is, I'm assuming you're talking about the space. Is meditation that space, and is meditation that space in which healing, shows us what needs to be healed, because we allow emotions to come up. So am I right? Is that what I'm talking about?
Yes, that's okay. Exactly is. How do we create that healthy space? Is meditation that tool to create that space that healthy decisions are being made?
Gotcha. Okay. It's a tool. It's an important tool. So when I think about meditation, as I write about in this chapter, really meditation is like a conscious attempt to go beyond the conscious mind, right? What does that mean? And so our minds are busy, lots of distractions. And so we don't have a lot of space in our natural course of the day where we stop and go inward. We're always trying to fix or address or do or engage with things outside of ourselves. And that's life. Like that's what we're born to do. We do that, but we shouldn't do that. Or it's not necessarily good for us to do that at the exclusion of ever going inward. And so meditation is that time that we spend going inward, where we try to release ourselves from all the to-dos, right? And all the engagement. Why do we need to do that? The reason we want to do that is because life is best lived, is what the whole healing journey proclaims. Life is best lived as our most beautiful, authentic, transparent, genuine selves. And what can happen is that when we are constantly engaging, it's so easy to take on the problems, the personalities, the challenges, the everything else of the world. And at some point, if we don't stop to slow down and think about who we really are, what we really want, where we're really going, we can live this whole life without ever even coming to know our most beautiful, authentic self. If that's the path you want, that's fine. You can do that. I'm guessing because you're on this healing journey and involved in this healing challenge, that's not what you want. So if your heart has already given you the message that there's more to life than that, that you want something different than that, then meditation might be right for you. That space where we go inward and ask ourselves questions instead of constantly only reacting or responding to what's outside of ourselves. So, yes.
Yeah, and having said that, right? What does that look like? Because you do suggest in this month of August that people do their meditation around the daily gems, right? So what is that going to look like? Because, you know, a lot of people, when we think about meditation, we have that image in our head of somebody, you know, sitting cross-legged for like 2 hours with their hands in a particular mudra, and, you know, they're chanting something or whatever it is. And people look at that and they're like, I don't have, right? Like, I don't have an hour, I don't have 2 hours or whatever to do this, or hey, I can't sit in that cross-leg position. I mean, that's the thing for a lot of people, right? So when you say to, you know, hey, take time in the morning or whatever time, you know, you can, to reflect on the daily gem, what does that look like, or could it look like for people?
Yeah, so meditation looks like whatever you make it look like. The biggest part about meditation has one requirement, and that is intention. What is your intention to go within? And so absolutely you can meditate on these daily gems. That's why they're short enough that they're not 5 pages where you're trying to hold in all this information and absorb it, and then that can get in the way of meditation. But if it's something short and it's just the idea or a concept, it allows you to say, okay, if I reflect on what does this look like in my life, if I'm seeking internal truth about who I am, not about what the world needs from me, but about who I am, and so that I can have a better understanding on what I really have to give to the world, I can reflect on these words. So it could look like reflecting on the readings or other readings. And so that's one type of reflection. That's your intent. My intent is to go within and come out with a bigger, better feeling or understanding about my own connection with myself and the world, from inside out instead of outside in. Instead of the world telling me who I am, I go inside so I can show the world who I am. I can show the world who I am instead of the world telling me who I am. Instead of taking on the identity of the world, I get to project who I am in all my goodness, right? My own godly or God-like essence that's connected to everything, not my hurts and my harms, but the beauty in which I entered this world, I can reflect back to the world. I can do that through meditation. The reading gems is one way to do it. Now, of course, if we go in traditional ways, we're talking about, we don't want just reading gems, that's one type, but we're actually trying to clear the mind, or giving our mind the opportunity to clear itself, I should say, because I don't like clearing the mind. That makes it sound like you're trying to create this activity. And what we're trying to do when we meditate is decrease activity, not create activity, right? And so if we just allow ourselves to sit and watch what's happening in our mind, even if we can't quiet the mind, that's still internal information. Wow, it's really busy in there. Somebody should pay me for all that work going on in there, right? I mean, that's information too. I have a busy mind. That's important information, because we can be so busy responding, we don't even really realize our mind never shuts off. Like, we say that, but when you sit and try to shut it off, then you really get how busy your mind is. You can ask yourself, do I want a mind that busy? And if not, what do I do about it? It's practice. If you want to run a marathon, you don't just run a marathon, you train for a marathon. right? You run 1 block, then 1 mile, then 2 miles, whatever. You start wherever you are according to what your current condition is. Meditation is the same way. How do you start? You start with the meditation. This is super important. You start with the meditation that you are willing to do. If you're not willing to sit for an hour, do not give yourself a 1-hour meditation practice. If you're only willing to sit in meditation for 1 minute, then you get out your cell phone, you use that little 60-second timer, and you meditate for that 1 minute. And if you do that with intention, I assure you that is as powerful as anyone who forces themselves in a whole world of discomfort of a 1-hour meditation, and they're never present the entire time with themselves because they're worrying about their hips hurting, their knees hurting, their mind is buzzing. We really is an hour up yet. But if you say you're going to work with intention for 1 minute, and that 1 minute can increase to 2 minutes, and then that 2 minutes to 5 minutes, do the meditation you are ready to do. You choose whether you use music or not. You choose whether there's voice giving you visualization guidance. You choose whether you're sitting, laying down, standing up is usually, I guess if you're in a particular position, it could work, such as Tai Chi, then that's what I would call standing meditation. But you get to make so many choices so that you are successful in your intention. That's the only thing you have to be successful at in meditation is your intention. If your mind wanders, it wanders. If you're uncomfortable and you have to switch positions, then you do that. What is your intention? Go into meditation with the intention on going within, whether that's I'm going to quiet my mind, or I'm going to focus on what these words were, or I'm going to listen intently to this person's voice. Just go into it with intention. That's a successful meditation. It will lead you further down the path of the healing journey if you pay attention to the intention.
So what that was really a lot of good information. Thank you for that. So what I'm hearing you saying, one of the most important things is intention, going into it with a really clearly defined intention.
Yes.
So that's one of it. The other thing that I hear you say, and you also say it in the gem that you just read for August 3rd about emotions don't heal, they only show you what needs to be healed. So from what you've been saying, it's like we're bearing witness to ourselves with meditation, not so much because you say the emotions itself is not going to heal, but what it's going to do is say, look, this is the thing that you need to, that needs to be addressed here. This is the thing that is the issue here. Right. And not for us to get caught up in emotion like, oh my God, there's that anger and now I'm angry, but just bear witness and just say, oh, there's that anger. And it seems like it's a good way to identify patterns too.
Absolutely, because you're going into it without judgment. If you go into meditation with judgment, just come out. Like just come out of it. Come out of it, right? Right. If you can't, I mean, if you're come out of it, right? Clarify your intention, because when you are feeling it, when you are in that space, bringing judgment into it, then it's not going to be a good experience, right? And so if your mind is just busy, then you have to be able to focus on what is your intention? What is my intention? What am I paying attention to? And if judgment comes in and you're able to pay attention and be present, really present with the judgment, oh, there's that judgment, and then become non-judgmental about the judgment, you're good. But if you're just sitting there really thinking about what a horrible person you are, come out of it. That's the one time I would say, come out of it. right? But if you can be present with what it is you're experiencing, even if it's judgment, stay in it. Hope that's not too confusing.
It's interesting because even as you explain, it doesn't have to look a certain way. You could have music, you could have this. It's like we're creating space right there for ourselves, just giving us what's gonna, what makes us comfortable, what resonates with us on a deep level, right? And then it's like, okay, we're not getting into the judgment. It can come up, and then we're not saying during that meditation, right? We're not saying, oh no, I can't be judgmental. It's
right, don't
like,
do that.
Oh,
just pay attention to it. There it is. There's the judgment. Oh, that's what I'm judging. Right. Pay attention to the judgment. Don't lean into the act of judgment. Pay attention, lean into the awareness itself. I know it sounds a little woo-woo, it sounds a little tricky. It takes practice, right? It's like somebody telling you to keep running and just focus on your breathing. You're like, yeah, my breathing is saying I'm dying, right? No, it's not, right? Like you're not going to run out of breath. I promise you, like just keep running until you find that groove, right? I mean, of course, if you fall down, and that's a different story, but you're going to feel the discomfort long before you are in any danger. You're going to feel discomfort that's going to make you want to quit. It's only discomfort. It's not danger.
So this is really about developing self-awareness. It's from what I'm hearing. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Through internal processes, because you can develop self-awareness, like people try to develop self-awareness through all kind of surveys and questionnaires and blah, blah, blah. And oftentimes they're so cognitive, they're so brain oriented that they're your brain's response. I like meditation because that's your heart's response. And they're often quite different.
Yeah, can you unpack that a little bit? The brain versus being connected with your heart, especially during something like meditation?
Right. And so the mind knows what it knows based on what it's read, done, imagined, or whatever. It's heavily based on experience. Right. But your experience is very universal. It's not based on truth. Right. And so it's constantly going through these interpretations that's based on what you desire, what you didn't get, what hurt you've experienced. But so your mind is constantly feeding you information that's not based on accuracy. It's based on you trying to get somewhere, trying to survive, trying to do this. And so when you do a questionnaire, your mind's not trying to necessarily tell you the truth. Your mind is giving you part truth, part of what you think you should be, part of the things you didn't see, part of it's putting a lot of stuff in there. It is not truth, right? It's part truth. It's the truth as you understand it, as you can possibly see it, but it's not the truth. And so it gives you different response or different reactions. And I've said this before in this healing journey, it's so important to be connected and to allow some of this work to sink in, because some of the work that we do, it's not meant for the mind. This is not cognitive therapy. This is heart work. The mind won't understand it, right? But the heart will lean into it. And so the mind is giving us ideas and always trying to put things in logical order for us to understand. It will grab onto what makes sense. Even if it's not true, it will grab onto familiarity and logic. That's its preference, right? Both can exist without being true. I can really believe that I'm the best singer in the world because this competition is coming up. And my mind might really literally tell me that I sing better than Whitney Houston. My mind can tell me that. It can tell me that because that's consistent with where my goals are, what people have said or whatever. If I won't even embarrass myself by trying to sing a bar, right? But my mind can tell me that. So your mind is not necessarily going to give you the truth. it's going to give you your experiences mixed with your desires, mixed with what your intention is, right? All this stuff. The heart tends to be more untouchable, more pure. I know it doesn't feel like that. People are listening, go, because they can't have that separation. And so that every time I say that, someone's mind is like the fingernail screeching on a blackboard. The mind screeches every time it hears you try to put the heart first. For many people, it's really difficult to separate the mind from the heart. We become so engrossed in believing what our minds tell us that the heart is very buried, right? And so meditation is one way that tries to help us excavate this path to the heart, to the real knowing of who we are. That's really difficult. It will give us a different set of answers a lot of the times than what's going on in the mind. Your mind will tell you that you really have to be in this marriage because your religion says so, your family says so, your income level says so, it's a perfect match says so. Like your mind will give you all the reasons and you can't figure out why you're not happy. Sometimes if you search your heart, the reason will come, right? Because it will tell you, it may tell you something different. And so it's important for us to be able to have this path of communication with the heart, not just our mind. Some of our biggest gems are hidden within the heart that we never turn to access. Some of us experience discomfort in this world because we never access the knowing of our heart. So hopefully that answered your question. I don't know if it did or not.
Yeah, I what I got out of that is, if you're meditating and you're getting caught up in whatever emotion or whatever is coming up, then you're dealing with your head. If it's coming from your heart and you're really looking at it in the sense of like wonder and kind of, I don't want to say exploration, but just witnessing, and with a detachment, because what I'm hearing also is that, yes, the emotion will come up, but you don't get in it. So it's like, okay, you no longer get entangled in that. And so you can detach, and we don't have to believe everything that we think, right?
Right.
We don't have to believe everything we think.
But that's
if anger comes up, we don't have to be angry. We don't have to go through the world angry just because anger came up during the meditation.
Right. That takes practice, because early on you're like, "Ooh, I didn't know that was there. I should have been angry all this time. Let me go experiment with that." Okay, go experiment with that, right? So it takes practice, but that's why the meditation in an ongoing pattern is so important. You got to see it, you got to work with it, you got to go back in there and see it again. You got to give it time to change and transform and all this other stuff. That's why you may only be able to stay in it for a minute the first time. Sometimes getting people to sit still for a minute feels like an hour. So yeah. So take your time with it, and don't make meditation part of your get healed quick formula. It's not meant to be that. It's not meant to be that. It's a practice.
So I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said so practice.
Yeah, practice. Well, I don't want to say practice makes perfect, but practice makes progress. Let's put it that way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, practice makes progress. So, having said all of that, when these things come up in the meditation, and then we come out of the meditation, then what do we do with that?
Nothing. Nothing. I mean, let your meditation be your meditation. And so if it's something that you need to do, depending on what comes up, you'll do it. I guess the one thing I hope will come from people's meditation is trust. Trust. Like if it's something you're supposed to do with it, then find that guidance, the same place that you found what it is that came up, right? Trust. Like the goal is not to have all the answers in life. The goal is to come up with some pretty darn good questions that guide our lives. Find your guiding questions, and you won't even need so many answers. So much more will come easier, and your life will be more fluid when you're guided by the right questions. When am I going to find love? How do I get to express love in this world? That's a guiding question. When am I going to find love? That's the question of the mind, the task question, right? Find the right questions. Meditation can help you find the guiding questions more so than the answers.
You know, that was really deep what you said, and I don't think in the little time we have, we can really get into that deeper. That's definitely something for people that are on the Healing Challenge, where we do get into a much deeper dive into these areas. So that is something for that talk. So I want to kind of move on because we are running out of time. Unfortunately, it always goes so fast with you.
Yes.
So I want to get to, because it sounds like this is definitely about self-commitment. You said trust. It's about self-trust. And for a lot of us, that's something that we have to continue to develop. And it's commitment, right? Because it's about progress. You got to keep practicing. So how is meditation related to healing and self-commitment? Really break that down for us.
So it is a commitment. It's a commitment to self. The funny thing about meditation, what I like best about it, that I think it requires commitment for, is that you don't run out and tell people you motivated. I mean, you meditated. Like I will post how many miles I ran, or I will get up and brag about how far I went on my bike. I will, it's like there's all this stuff that you do. We don't do that with meditation. It's quiet. It's personal. Like people aren't posting, oh, I meditated for 1 hour. Like we intuitively know that's not what you do with meditation, right? That alone makes it a special gift in our lives that tell us it's personal, it's intimate, right? We don't, and so not that we don't have those conversations with people close to us, right? But that's a closed conversation as I make this attempt to get closer to myself in an intimate way. So I'm not really trying to share that with the world because it defeats the whole purpose. I'm trying to get inward, not go outward, right? And so that alone makes it a commitment, because it's about you, yourself, and whatever other voices you got in there. So that makes it a real personal commitment. And then, of course, there's the time factor and the interest that says this life is intentional for me. I'm no longer willing to just go along to get along. I'm no longer willing to just follow down any alley. Like I'm going to be intentional in the person that I am becoming. That's a huge commitment, because it is so much easier on so many levels to just do what people tell you to do, or what you've been groomed to do, or
do nothing,
or what you're paid to do, or do nothing. Yeah. So it is a huge commitment. So and again, it's we ruin it if we make a task out of it, though, right? It's about making room for ourselves in our own lives. It's not about the task of meditating. It's about opening up space in our lives for ourselves. That's a commitment.
Oh yeah, that is really deep, because so many of us will make time for everybody else, no matter how much time it requires, right? We'll do that, but we won't make that time for ourselves. And I'm so happy that you really got into the self-commitment and the intimacy. You know that this is a real deep relationship with ourselves that we are really building, and it's not for it's not to be just giving out to everybody and posting on social media or whatever, or whatever it is about that. Because I know you always say the most important relationship we have is the one that we have with ourselves. So that's what we're really trying to develop when we're meditating. We just really want to get into, hey, what are we, and we're really great people, right? We're always looking at, oh, this person is just, we're just as great. We just need to find, just as good to know, we need to, so we need to really feel ourselves. So really, thank you so much for that. I just have one more question, one more. I don't know how quick it is, but I have one more question. And that's is, after we've said all of this, does meditation rewire our self-perception?
I believe it can, and there's certainly some research that suggests that it helps our brain rewire, right? And so, and gives us healthier brains. And so healthier brains, then we can presume helps us rewire our self-perception as well. And it can do that in a number of ways. One, the better we get at it, anytime we develop competence in anything, it shifts our perception, our whole perception of who we are, anytime we develop competence in something. And then also it can shift of course, our confidence in who we are. It can put us in better places to take risks. It can help us heal some wounds that we didn't know needed to be addressed, and they come up in meditation. Then we heal those things. And so it can definitely help us shift our perception in positive ways. But again, it's not a magic pill that helps as we become more open in our intention to meditate. And even with the greatest intention, it still takes practice over time. And finding the right way for you to meditate is huge. If you're doing it in a way that makes you give up and you don't want to go back to it, don't say meditation didn't work for me. I hope that people can say, I haven't found a meditation that works for me yet. Because there are literally so many different ways that you can meditate. So if you've tried one way, then dig in and find some other ways to meditate. There are some apps that help you meditate. There are some books full of meditation. There's some YouTube meditations. But again, are you sitting, standing, walking? Is it a voice or is it music? Is it guided meditation? Is it silent? Are they focusing on your breathing? So there's so many variations in meditation. So I hope that people never again say meditation doesn't work for me or I can't meditate. There's too many options out there for you to walk around with that misperception of the mind. The heart will invite meditation. The mind says, no, 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 I don't want to shut up yet. Right.
Well, thank you so much for this, just touching on, meditation here, because again, we're going to a lot deeper. But yeah, thank you. I think this has been really helpful and informative for a lot of our audience out there. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Join us in September. Again, where Dr. Bakari, it is always good having you, always good talking to you. Yeah. Just bring us home with any last words and thoughts.
Yamaste or namaste rather. Namaste, not yamaste, namaste. Yes, the light in me sees the light in you. Don't be afraid of what's inside. That is where you will find your beautiful, most authentic self. I love you and you should love you back too.
All righty. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to share, and we will see you again in September.
Yes. Thanks, Dr. Singleton.